Hello everyone, my name is Luke, and welcome to the 15th Battle of the Promethean Directive, where two navies and an army of the Auldric Crown are facing off against the navy of SDF. You can see we've got ships of the line here, although this one has immediately had its bow shear shot off. And they definitely outcost the similarly wooden, but much more modern vessels of the SDF. You can see a bunch of vehicles on the land there. Those are culverins, these little two-wheeled guns with no armor or anything, and a series of trains, which come in two varieties, one with a heavy bombard on them, and then others that you'll see momentarily, which have lighter guns. These ones right here. Unfortunately, a lot of them collided with each other and or soon drove straight into the water, so they didn't have that big of an effect on the battle, but they still contributed. The Auldric Crown in this battle has two first-rate ships of the line, those are the Victorious class, as well as two smaller frigates and two other regular sailing ships, and then 10 of those bomb ships, which are the ones that have like a more plain-colored hull and are more numerous. Those have cram cannons on their bow and stern and turrets. The SDF have two big ships in this battle, and you'll see that they are easily the longest lasting and most impactful of all of them. We'll keep going back to them to check for damage. This one is, of course, being, or at least my voiceover, is being recorded in post because I'm using the in-game recording for this, because this battle took about 40 minutes in real life, and I don't want to make y'all sit through all that, so we'll be watching the 10-minute sped-up version. So if you notice the camera being incredibly rapid moving like that, yeah, that's because when I was moving the camera, it was moving at a quarter the speed. You can see that the lighter line ships quickly broke off from the main battle and moved further away, which I think helped shield them from a lot of the fire coming from the big SDF ships, and left them free to maneuver more clearly. I'm looking around to see where that shot came from. I still don't know. I'm guessing one of the airships just happened to hit the far wall. Speaking of the airships, you can see there's one of them here and then another one there. I think they started with about 5, but they for some reason were relatively high on the target prio for the sailing ships. Here you can see the bombards, or the cannons, on the bomb vessels. Which, lovely deco work, by the way. It's cool to see what people can do. Especially in less well-covered areas like sailing ships. There you can see a catastrophe hit this frigate. I'm guessing there was a chain reaction in the gun magazines, and it also, I think, lost the forward shear. But I don't know what it was that managed to do that much damage that quickly. Either way, the Reliance frigate is no more, and a good thing he's got a few buddies in battle. Checking the healths now, you can see a lot of the trains are damaged. The Eventide, and the Eventide's one of the big SDF ships that's still around. Over there, and then the Colt Pargo is the other one. It's taken decent damage. It's down to 3 out of 4 turrets, with one of them, I think, having a damage barrel. But you can see by how much damage the SDF have dealt that that's just how powerful large caliber turreted APS can be compared to the diff or like small magazine capacity guns on the sailing ships. I also like how both sides are still using some of the simple cannons. It's so funny to just see those cannonballs flying through the air, because they're larger and slower than the APS shells, so you can actually see them while we're in degraded mode. There you have the Eventide. It's doing fairly well. It's lost some guns. You can see the forward one there is gone, one barrel's missing on the super firing, and then the rear gun is disabled. But half the guns isn't too bad for this stage in this battle. At this point, most of the smaller vessels from the SDF have been destroyed, and we're continuing to see vessels like that bomb catch over there get sunk. Here we can see the Eventide and Colt Pargo join up briefly, and then proceed to sail in opposite directions. They kind of split up when the battle began. And here we see there's going to be a minor ramming issue between this patroller corvette and the Eventide. The corvette definitely comes off the worse for wear, but given that its side is more numerous, it might be worth it for the damage it dealt. And here we can see a Victorious has now lost its stern shear, as well as suffered catastrophic damage to what I assume was the magazine. But it's also taken a lot of damage in general, so it's not too surprising that the shear got clipped. And if you're not familiar with the word shear, shear is the part of a ship, typically on the front, but occasionally on the rear, especially on sailing ships, that is sloped upwards. This is so that way when the ship is cutting through the water, the deck is a little bit higher in the front, or on sailing ships that are short enough that they can pitch up and down quite a bit, it prevents water from going onto the bow or stern when they are pitching up and down. The most realistic way, but the most difficult, is usually to use spin blocks, and it also leaves those sections vulnerable to getting knocked off. Looks good though. Here we can see this Victorious is severely damaged and starting to deconstruct. It got its stern shear knocked off as well, and that was just too much damage for it to survive, so we're left with the one at 64%. But it's still fighting. Meanwhile, the Colt Pargo has rammed one of the bomb catches, taking significant bow damage, but definitely leaving the bomb catch worse off. But again, when it's a 2v10-ish, you can afford to do that kind of damage. And here I'm noting that this guy has lost his rear propulsion, so he's immobilized, making him much more vulnerable. Oh yeah, and here's one of the trains that just sailed into the water and is like, you know what, let's just keep going. What are they gonna do to me? Can't stop me. The Pargo's just kind of pirouetting in place. Slowly getting eaten away at. Here I managed to secure a capture on one of the cannonballs fired from that frigate. Sadly, though, it was out of range. Eventide, meanwhile, you can see is looking pretty bad. It's got more turrets that are disabled. It's listing pretty heavily. Superstructure's a mess. And then here, those corvettes are still doing good. There's the one that got rammed earlier. And if you're curious, all of the sailing ships do not have engines. They fully rely on sail propulsion. It's run by a very fancy breadboard that actually has to take into account wind direction and things like that to get them to move. And to turn the sails or reef in some sails and extend other ones. It's pretty impressive. Here we can see the Colt Pargo's on the edge of death, and it will very soon perish. Yep, I think when the superstructure got lopped off there, that brought it to 2 damaged. And as soon as it's despawned, then it's just going to be the Eventide up against the whole fleet. And it also isn't looking much better for wear. It's still getting beaten up by the sailing ship, though. The ship of the line. Here I found the spin block that holds the shear, and it is not very well armored, so I was recommending to CRN and Colette in the chat that they maybe investigate that. Thanks for watching.